Alright, welcome back guys. So we'll continue on market structure in this particular module, and it will be the last thing I'll be talking about as far as market structure is concerned. Alright, as far as market structure is concerned. So let's look at another pair so we can use as so we can use as oh, I even have a setup here. Okay, let me just take that off, and then so everywhere can be clear for us to understand. Okay, so what I'll be talking about in this module is what I call support and resistance. Support and resistance. Okay, support and resistance is what I'll be talking about in this particular module. Support and resistance, and it's also the same thing as demand and supply. It's not going to be long, it's very simple. I'll just make it very brief and then clear to you so that you can understand. Whenever you hear support and resistance, is also the same thing as demand and supply. So very quickly, supply is also known as, let me point it out, supply is also known as resistance. Okay, while demand is also known as support. Get this straight, it's very simple. Demand is also known as support, and supply is also known as resistance. Okay, so whenever you hear supply, they are talking about resistance, and whenever you hear resistance, they are talking about supply. It's the same thing. And whenever you hear demand, they are talking about support, and when you hear support, they are talking about demand. It's basically the same thing. So we are talking about demand and supply. Demand and supply. How do we identify demand and supply in a chart? It's very simple. Alright, it's very simple. You know, in previous module we've talked about higher highs and higher lows. Okay, I'll just bring the concept here so that you can understand. Whatever we call higher high is a supply. Whatever we call higher high is a supply or a resistance. Whatever we call lower low is a demand or a support. Okay, is a support. Whatever we call lower low. Okay, so whatever we call lower high is a supply. Whatever we call lower high is a supply. I believe you already know about forex terminologies. That's why I said as time goes on, we begin to speak the language of traders. So we are already getting there. Whatever we call lower high is a supply, and whatever we call higher low is a demand. Okay, so all these things, they basically mean the same thing. Higher high means resistance, it also means supply. Lower low means demand, also means support. Lower high means resistance, also means supply. Higher low means demand, also means support. Okay, so how do we identify them? That being said, how do we identify them? Meaning very simple. That's why I took you through this route. This is an uptrend, obviously. Let's just pick this immediate trend right here to save our time. I think my network is off again. Sorry. My phone is down right now. I might have to pend and then come back. But let's check very quickly if my network can allow me. If not, I believe you are smart, so I'll just wrap it up somehow. Okay, so if we look at this place right here, this zone right here, this is a low, this is a high, this is a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, and a low. Alright, this low right here is a low, which is a demand or a support. This is a high right here, which is a resistance or a supply. This is a low right here, which is higher than the previous low. This is an higher low. This is a demand or a support. This is a high right here, higher than the previous high. This is higher high, which is a supply or a resistance. This is a demand zone right here, which is a low. Higher than the previous low, which is higher low, is a demand or a support. This is another high, higher than the previous high, higher high, a supply or a resistance. Just like that. So it's very simple to identify. Okay? It's very simple to identify. The highest point where price has pulled to is known as supply or resistance. Then the lowest point where price has pulled to is what we called demand or support. So it's the same thing as you can identify demand and supply by either higher highs and higher lows. Either higher highs and higher lows. When we put higher highs and higher lows together, it gives us a trend, which is market structure. So it's the same thing as putting demand and supply together. It also gives us the trend, which is the market structure. So it's very simple. My network is fluctuating right now, so I wouldn't make it too long, but I believe you understand what I just explained. It is very simple. Very simple. We'll look more into it in the subsequent videos. So let's move to the next one, guys.